Even though the entirety of CSGO investing revolves around skins, usually they're not thought of as an investment, so today we're breaking down which ones are the best. Now, collection skins are probably the most popular way to invest into skins. That's because they have a lot of great factors that come with them. Usually they're discontinued, especially when we're talking about collections from a past operation. They usually have some pretty desirable skins inside of them, and they're very popular for trade-ups, which are a lot of things we want to look for when we're looking for an investment. These skins usually have a decent amount of demand. However, SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. The issue that comes with collection skins is usually they're a very popular investment. Out of all the things on the list today, these are the ones that are the most publicized because we've seen in the past very strong returns in this area. If you want to look at a lot of gray skins or industrial level skins in the past, these things have gone up exponentially for some of those older discontinued operation collections, and that's exactly what people are trying to replicate when we look at some of the newer operation collections, something like the Control collection, even though we haven't seen anywhere close to the profit we've seen in the past just because so many more people are invested into it. In my opinion, I think this is probably the most popular one on this list, and therefore you're going to be competing with the most amount of people to try and make whatever profit is out there, so keep that in mind if you want to go into this area. Now, Souvenir Skins are almost guaranteed to be a bad investment. Looking at a couple quick here, you can see that they're almost guaranteed to be outperformed by just the normal version of their skin, which is really bad when we're looking at multiple years like this. Most of the time, they don't even end up being profitable over time, just because there's super little interest because they cannot be traded up. After that, we have actively dropping skins. Now, these are going to be coming from any of the 8 collections that you get as a drop, any of the cases you can unbox that are in the active duty pool, and the Anubis package at this point. Basically, these ones are not going to be good investments because there is a ton of them coming into existence. It's very hard for you to turn a profit off of an investment when there's thousands of them being unboxed every single day, and that's the case for all of these skins that may seem like they might be a good investment. However, at this time, there's really no opportunity for them because there's so many of them out there already, and it keeps on going up every single day. It's not an area you want to get into. The next area I'm calling the rare skins. This is where the majority of profit happens for skin investing because this is making up every single skin that comes from a rare case plus a discontinued case. Basically what happens here is because these cases are not unboxed as much as the active duty cases, a lot of these skins are given the opportunity to increase in price, and especially the ones that are very high in demand end up doing so. Now, one point I want to make very clear is you're probably not going to see any massive gains inside of skin investing, just because if we want to look at the red line here, over the period we're looking at, it went up about 50%. Compare that to the Phoenix case, which went up almost 1100% in the same time period. You're not going to see massive growth like 1100% inside of skin investing because skins, generally speaking, don't really go anywhere, whereas cases are consumable. Skins are quite the opposite. There's not really any way to go ahead and consume a skin other than putting it into a trade up, which is a very viable strategy we're going to talk about in a minute. Otherwise, you're relying on people to quit the game and leave skins in their inventory, which is definitely something that happens, but nowhere near to the extent that we see cases and capsules being consumed, which is why skins, generally speaking, don't see those massive increases we see in other areas. Now, trade up skins are the area I really want to dive deeper into because let's be honest, it's not too hard to find a skin that's going to rise along with the market. A lot of the older cases, you can look at any skins inside of them, and generally that's what they do. But with trade up skins, that's the area where you have a chance to go ahead and outperform the market, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Anyone can go on pace with the market, but outperforming the market is not easy. So for trade up skins, there's two different things. If we're talking about Tradeup Fillers, these ones are not necessarily going to be the easiest way to go. However, it's not too hard. Basically, when you buy these skins at a cheaper end, you can go ahead and resell them when the game starts to get a little bit more popular, an operation or a case comes out and people are looking for these skins so they could go ahead and do trade ups. But trade ups are also a double-edged sword. That's because trade up outcomes are actually really bad investments to make. Take a look at the Phantom Disruptor from Prisma 2. Prisma 2 is not an actively dropping case, although it's definitely one of the newer rare cases. It still is a rare case, but we can look on this graph right here and see that the fact that it got moved into the rare drop pool did not impact this skin at all. Now, why is that? That actually has to do with the way trade ups work. And if we want to look at the float cap of the Phantom Disruptor, because the float cap is skewed towards being factory new or a lower wear, that's going to make it so people can go ahead and put in actually 10 battle scarred skins and get a field tested skin outcome for the Phantom Disruptor. This makes it really profitable for people to go ahead and do trade ups in this area, but it also really hurts people who want to go ahead and own this skin, because that means this skin is always going to be very obtainable, especially in a lower wear. We can also see this with the Op Aetherus, which comes from the Prisma 1 case for factory new. That's because the factory new outcome for the Op Aetherus is extremely expensive compared to the other outcomes. Therefore, it's going to make it so people are really incentivized to do this trade up, because they can go ahead and chain 5 minimal wear skins and 5 factory new skins and get a factory new outcome. Now, like I was mentioning earlier, if you're able to actually find some skins that are used as the inputs in these specific trade ups, it's going to make it a very good possible investment for you. That's because the demand for these skins is so high, because people are constantly looking for them because they're used in a profitable trade up, that if you're able to take advantage of that and go ahead and find some skins that actually should work out in the long term, it's going to make it a much easier path moving forward, and it's an area I highly suggest you check out. Now, like I mentioned before, if you want to find skins that are moving along with the market, that is completely okay, and in my opinion, that's probably going to be the most likely option for a lot of people watching. Although outperforming the market is definitely something that's ideal, when we're talking about skins, outperforming the market really doesn't mean that much. As we showed before, the case went up 1100% and the skin went up 50%, and that was probably roughly with the market, but you're not going to find any skin that's outperforming the market to the extent of 1100%. And I want to make that very clear, that even though you want to look for skins that are good investments, it doesn't mean you should go ahead and compromise with skins you don't like just for the quote-unquote investment purpose of them. Now, if we're looking for weapons that are going to end up being relatively decent investments, we're probably going to want to look towards the weapons that are commonly used in game. These are going to be your M4s, your AKs, your AWP, and most of your pistols that are commonly used, like your Deagle, your 5.7, your Glock, your USP, and so on and so forth. A lot of the skins that are commonly used end up being for the ones that are for common weapons, and that's not a coincidence by any means. By preferring these ones over something that's maybe like the M249 or anything like that, you are giving yourself a better chance to profit. Now, the weapons you shouldn't really buy is a little bit different, because inside of CS2 you have your heavy slots and your SMG slots that get combined together in what they call the mid tier. This means that 5 of the skins right here are going to have to be eliminated, and that's very important because it's probably going to end up being a decent amount of those shotguns, and you might keep some of the SMGs. I think that's most likely what's going to happen. That's really important because we don't really want to prefer some shotguns if they're not really going to have any other redeeming traits about them. Now, in my honest opinion, where should you look for your skins? Well, I've got 3 different areas. The first of which is the trade up inputs are just way too strong, especially if you're not going for something that's super old. Otherwise, the collection skins are usually a pretty safe bet because they're discontinued, meaning none of them are really being added to for the supply. And the last is going to be these older cases that have decently interested skins inside of them. You can't choose something with zero demand because that just doesn't work, but if you're able to find something that doesn't have a massive supply and's got a decent amount of demand behind it, I think that might be the area you should look into. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.